I, a 29-year-old man, met Kim, a 24-year-old woman, in July 2021. She worked at an upscale restaurant I frequented, and after several failed attempts to ask her out, she finally said yes. Our relationship progressed quickly. By October, she wanted exclusivity, and by March 2022, we moved in together. The start of something beautiful. Before Kim moved in, I introduced her to my mother, a formidable and intimidating woman. To my surprise, Kim won her over effortlessly. My mother later told me that what won her over was the way Kim treated me and looked at me. As our lives intertwined, Kim confided in us about her dream of finishing her college degree. She had been a sophomore in 2020, but the pandemic had derailed her plans and caused her to lose her scholarship. It was a dream she couldn't afford to chase. My mother, moved by her story, offered to cover Kim's tuition. In the fall of 2023, Kim enrolled at my alma mater, just a short drive from our home. The red flags begin. The first semester went smoothly, but by the second, things began to change. Kim expressed discomfort about me hanging out with some of her college friends, claiming the age difference made them uneasy. She started spending Wednesday nights on campus under the pretense of needing rest for her early Thursday classes. Then came spring break. She wanted to go to Cancun with her girlfriends, and when I suggested we go together, she insisted on going alone. The turning point came when she attended a frat party at my old fraternity house. I initially wanted to accompany her, knowing the kind of debauchery that often took place at these parties. After an argument, I reluctantly agreed to let her go alone. The betrayal unveiled. When Kim returned home late from the party, she went straight to bed. The next morning, I joined her in the shower, something we often did. That's when I noticed bruises on her hips and a bite mark on her breast. Her explanation? She claimed the bruises were from playing volleyball while drunk. But I knew better. Feeling uneasy, I reached out to a friend whose younger brother currently lived in the frat house. I described Kim, even mentioning her purple flower tattoo, and asked if he knew anything. What I learned confirmed my worst fears. He sent me photos and a video of Kim engaging in a degrading act, a contest no self-respecting partner should ever witness. When Kim came over the next day to talk, she tried to downplay the situation, saying it wasn't as bad as I thought and begging for a chance to move past it. But I was done. I showed her the video and coldly reminded her of an old lesson from my frat days. There are two types of women, those you date and those who frequent frat parties. The aftermath. I demanded she return the keys to my house and the credit card I'd given her for expenses like gas and books. She still had access to a debit account I funded, but I cut off any unnecessary ties. Kim immediately began love-bombing me, promising to change. She swore there would be no more overnight stays on campus, no parties without me, and no activities that didn't include my presence. She admitted to letting others influence her into disrespecting me and begged for another chance. But the damage was done. A conflicted heart. I've shared this situation with only a couple of close friends, too ashamed to talk about it more widely. Deep down, I'm angry at myself for even considering giving her another chance. When I finally confided in my mother, I spared her the sordid details but told her I had proof that Kim had been unfaithful and that I had ended the relationship. She was furious and said she would handle things when she returned home. Moving forward, Kim's betrayal has left me grappling with conflicting emotions. Love, disgust, anger, and a sense of loss. Rebuilding trust seems impossible, especially when I'm not sure if I even want to try. Sometimes, no matter how much you care for someone, you have to walk away to preserve your self-respect and sanity. For now, I'm taking things one day at a time, leaning on my support system, and reminding myself that I deserve better. If love is supposed to build you up, then it should never come at the expense of your dignity. 6 months ago, my world turned upside down, and I'm still trying to piece it all together. I'm a 34-year-old man, and what happened has left me questioning everything I thought I knew. I've been lurking in forums for advice, but today, I need to share my story and get some honest perspectives. My wife, a 32-year-old woman I thought was my forever, and I had a heated argument one evening. It wasn't anything unusual, just the weight of life, work stress, and the daily grind boiling over. After she stormed out, I tried calling her multiple times, but each ring ended without an answer. That night, I couldn't sleep. I lay on the couch, my mind racing through worst-case scenarios, all while hoping I was just overreacting. The next morning, she came home. Tears streaked her face as she sat across from me, visibly shaken. She looked me in the eyes, her voice trembling, and said she had something to confess. In that moment, my heart felt like it stopped. Then she dropped a bombshell that shattered everything. She had slept with my best friend. She didn't spare any details, as if bearing everything would somehow make it better. I felt my chest tighten with a mix of anger, betrayal, and heartbreak. My best friend, the person I trusted most, had betrayed me just as deeply as she had. Since then, I've been trying to figure out my next steps. Do I cling to what's left of my marriage, hoping for some kind of repair, or do I walk away from the wreckage of these two relationships and try to rebuild my life? Part of me feels like I've been living in denial, waiting 6 months just to finally accept the truth. There's no going back from this. What would you do in my shoes? Am I wrong for waiting so long to take action? Or is it just human to hesitate when faced with this kind of devastation? The honesty of her confession was brutal. She admitted that he was better in some ways, that she felt alive and desired again, like a woman. I had read about Trickle Truth, where cheaters reveal their betrayal slowly, piece by piece. But she didn't hold back. She spilled everything at once, unapologetically raw. She told me she regretted the affair, not because it wasn't good, but because it wasn't with me. She confessed that she hated who she had become in that moment. Her words devastated me. Without thinking, I immediately asked for a divorce. She broke down, pleading with me not to end things, swearing she would do anything to make it right. In my shock and confusion, I gave in to her tears, and shamefully, even to her seduction, right after she came back from him. To this day, I can't believe I did that. From that point on, she did everything to prove her remorse. She put a GPS in her car, downloaded Life 360, and carried a voice recorder in her purse. She video called me every hour of the day and gave me unrestricted access to her phone. Whenever my ex-best friend, or any man, tried to reach out, she blocked them instantly, always screenshotting the attempt and showing me first. She went above and beyond. In couples counseling, she refused to let the counselor shift any blame onto me, repeatedly saying the affair was entirely her fault. Later, I learned she had also cheated on her ex-husband. She swore she would never let temptation win again. She constantly reassured me that I was better in bed, better than him. But instead of making me feel validated, it crushed me. I felt disgusted with myself. I started working out to take control of something, hoping to reclaim some semblance of confidence. Ironically, it only fueled her desire for me. She showered me with affection, cooked my favorite meals, planned surprise dates, and left little love notes around the house. On the surface, we looked like the perfect couple who had weathered the storm and come out stronger. Friends and family sang our praises, urging me to stay and insisting it was a one-time, drunken mistake. But none of it mattered. Every kiss left me wondering if she was thinking about him. Every time we were intimate, I couldn't help but imagine her comparing us. It was unbearable. 6 months later, she asked to attend a party with her friends. She had been diligent about video calling me throughout the night to reassure me. But as she showed me she was getting into the car to come home, I told her I wanted a divorce. She rushed home, panicked, and begged for an explanation. I told her I appreciated her efforts, but deep down, I felt her remorse stemmed more from fear of losing me than genuine regret for her actions. I didn't even know if that was the truth. It was just what I believed. Now, I feel like a monster for wanting to end things after all the effort she's put into rebuilding our relationship. She's been nothing but devoted and sincere in her attempts to make amends. Yet, I can't escape the tormenting images of her and my ex-best friend. I close my eyes and it's there, haunting me. We were supposed to be each other's only love. She shattered that promise, and I never fully processed the betrayal. Instead, I caved into her pleas and attempts to fix things. The worst part? I feel like I waited 6 agonizing months to finally admit what I had already known deep down. I saw my ex-best friend recently, and it brought everything rushing back. I hate my life. I don't know if I'm punishing her for what she did or trying to save myself. Maybe I'm doing both. Some might say this is why people warn against reconciling with a cheater. Forgiveness might work for some, but you need an extraordinary capacity to forget. The fact that she cheated with my best friend makes it even more agonizing, like a deliberate choice to hurt me in the most profound way possible. So now I stand at a crossroads. Should I let this go and move forward, Or should I pursue therapy to see if I can ever truly accept what she's done? Would it have been different if it were a one-night stand with a stranger? Perhaps. But this wasn't just anyone. This was my best friend. Someone who was supposed to have my back, not destroy something so sacred. The question remains, why would I want to rebuild something with someone who proved my feelings and trust didn't matter to them in that moment? The betrayal isn't just about the affair. It's about the fundamental disregard for the bond we had. Have you ever experienced something like this? If so, what did you do? How did you cope?